First of all, let's just start with the film, The Learning. Tell me how you found the four characters in the film, Dorothea, Rhea, Grace, and Angel. They were all just so amazing. Tell me about the selection.
Actually, I learned that the Baltimore public school system was recruiting Filipino teachers. Actually, not just Filipino teachers, but they were recruiting abroad, teachers from overseas. And it wasn't only Baltimore City, but major school districts in the U.S. because there's a shortage of teachers in the U.S. I read about it in the Baltimore Sun. I said, this is really interesting. It's in my backyard. And this sounds like, I can do this. So I called BCPSS, and people told me they'll never give you permission to shoot in the classrooms. I said, I can just ask, I asked, and pretty soon they were inviting me to the recruitment, to film the recruitment. So I said, sure, I'll come film the recruitment. And I figured I'll just find my characters at the recruitment. And so that's what happened. And I figured if they're letting me film the most important interview in their lives, then they're going to open up to me. They're going to give me full access. I'm not sure that they knew at the end of the day what that meant, because people think they know what it means, but you really don't until cameras are with you, like not 24/7, but for a lot of the times. I mean, the first day of school and stuff. But they were game, But it was only really Dorothea and Angel who allowed us to film them the first day of class. Grace and Rhea said, no, just come second day, but the first day, no. So, but for Angel and Dorothea, we were there for the first day. So it's really just a feeling.
You hint at sort of the context of overseas Filipino workers and how much that means to the GDP of the Philippines. But can you explain that a little bit more? And also what you think, there's been several films about the state of education here in the U.S., Waiting for Superman. I see you smiling. Not that I'm comparing, but what do you think this definitely speaks to a different aspect of education here in the U.S.?
I mean, this film was difficult because my interest was really in the women, but because they're in public education, you're actually telling two stories at once. And, because I really wanted to pay homage to the overseas Filipino workers who are plentiful, They're all over the world, and they really carry that nation's economy in their backs with the remittances. So I wanted to pay homage to what they go through, especially the social costs of immigration. I mean, there are like full barangays, communities of children being raised in the Philippines without mothers usually. It's usually the mothers who go. It's very interesting. But nurses and teachers. So I wanted to just highlight their lives. And they're called mga bagong bayani in Filipino, the new heroes of the Philippines, because they're the ones who really are going out there and forging a better life for their families. So that's what this film's about, And I also wanted to see, I did Imelda, which was about a powerful woman. And so I wanted to do, I hate to say the reverse, but it's almost, these women are cornered by their circumstance and they decide to do something about it. That's very brave, I'm not sure I could have done it. So that's what I wanted to portray. And as far, also you're looking at a very particular public school system in this film. It's Baltimore City. But it's where I live and that's where we filmed it. So it's very specific to Baltimore, So I'm not, I guess it's not a statement about all of the school districts in the U.S. Maybe urban school districts, but not all of it. Does that make sense?
So you grew up in Manila, in the Philippines, and you born and raised. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, and what it was like growing up there, and I guess what your dreams were, growing up in the Philippines. Did you always want to be a filmmaker?
I'm a martial law baby, so I was born, I was very young when martial law was proclaimed, so all I knew really were the Marcoses. And when I left to come here to school, the Marcoses were still in power. And I was living here already when they were ousted. So that's all I knew. That's really, I remember curfews, I remember travel bans, and I remember coup d'etats. You know, coup d'etat is like this term in my head. At a very young age, I know coup d'etat. But it was tough. But I also lived, I lived in the capital, you know, and after a while, things normalize. So things that are weird at first become normal because you live with them for, whatever, 20 years. I mean, and that's why I wanted to do Imelda too, because she was a big part of my imagination. You know, she was writ large when I was growing up in the Philippines. Did I always want to be a filmmaker? I've always been interested in moments in film, you know, moments, capturing those moments in film. I've always been interested in documentary photography, capturing the decisive, what is it, the decisive moment. So yes, I guess, so it's just a, you know, continuation of that desire. I love the process. Actually, I love the process of going into these people's lives and capturing those moments and knowing that you're getting something that that I would otherwise not have seen if I weren't filming them.
If you were to characterize your own, I guess, perspective or style, how would you do that?
You know, I try many things. Like, my first film was very history-based. I had this theory, and it was really more an essay piece. I had an idea in my head, and I thought, let's see if it's true. You know, so I sort of tested it. It was my thesis film, Spirits Rising. And then with Imelda, that was also history, but I was interested more in her character and her point of view. So, but that was etched in stone. You know, you already knew what happened. This one, I wanted to test verite filmmaking. I wanted to see if I could do it. You know, just go into people's lives and just watch it unfold and see where it takes you, you know, and then try to craft a film out of that experience. So I'm just really, but at the end of the day, I think what really interests me are characters. You know, not social causes, not, you know, I'm not a social cause filmmaker. That's very, you know, that's very prevalent today. You find a social cause, you make a film out of it. But I'm interested in characters and situations, and interesting characters and situations, and that's what I pursue. It's just a slice of their lives. You know, it's funny because Rhea, after she saw the film, she goes, you know, I'm no longer that person. She was a little worried. She goes, I'm no longer the person. I said, I think people will understand that it's life. You know, you move on after the film fades to black. Life goes on and you change and stuff.